Literature has the ability to change drastically over the span of centuries, and there exists no better evidence to support this claim than when identifying the similarities between Sir Gawain and the Green Knight to Richard Lovelace's To Lucasta Going to the Wars. The two works, one anonymously written during the medieval period and the other a product of the early 17th century, both carry similar depictions in their exploration of honor, humanity and its succumbing nature to faults, and human consciousness. Through techniques such as spatial identity and characterization, both works are able to drive home the points they wish to make. This essay will examine two academic sources in order to better conceptualize how literature has developed, as well as attempt to determine if certain decisions made in our lives are predestined or if we follow them through acts of our own ego and fear. In his journal article published in the Chaucer Review titled Nature and the Inner Man and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, author William F. Woods seeks to examine the role in which nature plays on the character's actions and psyche within the poem. Woods first shows nature to have an effect on the story through use of space, stating, except for her gray eyes, Guinevere is visible only through details of her setting. Her place at the high table is adorned, but also sheltered. Gawain is sitting close beside her. Consequently, we are encouraged to see him too as a sheltered presence, his motives and even his identity colored to some extent by the association. This spatial identity sets up Sir Gawain to be as revered and as virtuous as Lady Guinevere. Staying on the topic of spatial identity, Woods highlights how the poem shifts between interior and exterior in order to further characterize Sir Gawain. When detailing the challenges given to Sir Gawain by the Green Knight and Gawain's effort to resolve the situation, Woods states, "Yet his disarming petition, exquisitely timed and so smoothly executed that henceforth we are never in doubt regarding his supreme skill as a courtier, is itself an ambivalent passage exposing his pride and ambition at the same time that it renders him invulnerable to criticism."
You laid down your challenge. I accepted it, and accept it still. Never forget what happened here!
Here, Gawain's acknowledgement of the challenge publicly allows him to be viewed as a hero, exterior, while readers can also interpret his actions as being self-motivated, interior. We get more in depth with Gawain's interior characterization near the end of the poem. It's at this point in the story, after having not told Bertilac that he received the belt, that we can see Gawain's consciousness fully laid out. In reference to a quote from A.C. Spearing, Woods writes, "For him, apparently the important question is not whether he has been unfaithful to his agreement with the lord of the castle, but whether he is known by the lord himself to have been unfaithful to it."
On your own, after all. What of our game?
I don't want your games, or your gifts, or your kindness.
Are you certain there is nothing you wish to give me?
Gawain's decision to shield the truth after sourcing his belt from a private space, while still maintaining the promise he made in the public, symbolizes the imperfections of humanity. Woods writes, "The split in domains and spaces has generated a split in forms of consciousness, a split in obligations, and, as we've outlined, divisions in the knight's identity." The story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight embodies the very essence of what it means to be human. In moments of public perception and awareness, like Sir Gawain, we can quickly take up the challenge asked of us. However, it's when we enter private spaces that our minds begin to question whether or not the burden we've placed on ourselves was worth it. And that is the exact moment we begin to fall back on the promises we had sworn to keep. In Richard Lovelace's To Lucasta Going to the Wars, the poet also makes use of spatial identity as an effort to characterize both Lucasta and the speaker. In the first stanza, we're met with these lines. "Tell me not, sweet, I am unkind, that from the nunnery of thy chaste breast and quiet mind, to war and arms I fly." As we're already aware that this is a letter written to a lover, therefore the two parties are not in the same location, the speaker also conveys to the reader that he has separated from the comfort and safety of her love in order to be on the battlefield. From this, we can determine that whatever lies on the battlefield holds more weight than what can be offered by his lover. In the second stanza, Lovelace's use of contrast serves to further separate the passions he has for both romantic love and his love for war, writing, "True, A new mistress now I chase, the first foe in the field, and with a stronger faith embrace a sword, a horse, a shield. To many readers, the speaker's persistent talk of war and battle characterize him as noble and strong in his resolve, much like Gawain's refusal to give in to Bertilac's wife's advances. This characterization is further emphasized by the last stanza, reading, "Yet this inconstancy is such, as you too shall adore. I could not love thee, dear, so much, loved I not honor more." Should we choose, we can again employ the idea of an interior and exterior, or public and private form of consciousness. The speaker may see his decision to go to war as honorable, but he may only feel that way because he is writing to Lucasta, a woman in the public. An argument can be made that this noble attitude towards war only exists as a front sourced from the speaker's ego, for during the time in which this poem is written, and even today, the concepts of masculinity and manhood were synonymous with violence. Both works harbor themes of honor and virtue, as well as having characters who have found a resolve within themselves to finish dire tasks. These similarities now force readers to ask the question, have modern interpretations of these ideas and themes shifted? The answer can simply be stated as yes. However, to go more in depth, we can shift our focus to Daniel Sheridan's Writing in Response to Literature, the paper of many parts, an academic article focused on changing the way in which students write about literature. In it, Sheridan discusses how one student, Jennifer, wrote about two Lucasta going to the wars. Jennifer was encouraged to describe the richness of her reading experience, rather than just write what she believed people wanted to hear. Offering her own takeaway from the poem, Jennifer states, "He loves honor. He is trying to clear the air, almost make it sound good. Yet, I feel sad. This is the speech the young soldier gives his lover. Many soldiers never return. He is so naive." Jennifer's sentiments show how literature and our responses to what it encompasses have developed over hundreds of years. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight and To Lucasta Going to the Wars are works that, whilst published in vastly different time periods, hold similarities that can be analyzed and critiqued today on their effectiveness and relevance. Many conclusions can be drawn from these narratives, but the most prevalent is that our spatial identity shapes the way in which we interact with the world, with nature. Humanity's decision to label our causes and what drives us as noble is subjective. The objective truth is that we must be aware of both the interior and the exterior, the public and the private sectors of our lives. In doing so, we'll find it much easier to determine if what we're fighting for is not only worth the effort, but if it stems from our own passion, or is it merely a byproduct from the fear of humiliation.